Hi, friends. Welcome to Lotus and the Light. My name's Jennifer. If you're joining me, I think Spirit has a message for you today, and a message for me as well, right? We're in this together. If you aren't familiar with Lotus and Light, I often use stories of my own life and my own experiences just to help. I think that my stories can help resonate with your own experiences as well, and that God can use my experiences to breathe truth and support and confirmation into your life. Really, anything that I'm sharing today from Spirit is also already communicating to you. So I should only be a confirmation of that. You should not be dependent on me or anyone else or anything else for that direct connection to God. You already have it within you. I'm just here to be a voice of confirmation and encouragement. So, with that, as we go forward with this message, I would just encourage you to take a few seconds to take a few deep breaths, aligning yourself to spirit, opening up the channel and the flow, kind of calming the noise around you, calming that left brain, right? And really opening yourself up to spirit and setting the intention that you, myself, and spirit are going to play together today to help encourage one another and but through sharing in some lessons. Okay. So with that, I was already connected, but just kind of resetting my energy real quick. Um, I have been sharing some messages lately on some work experiences. So I'm calling them my corporate America messages. And I came out of a week last week that was just full on. Like I was experiencing all the things last week. The great things that were like, yes, look how far I've come. I can see the spiritual work and how it translated into how I handled this. And then I could see the other things of like, oh, why is this happening? What am I learning? What lesson is it that I need to learn? Like all the things, and it just was coming at me full force, without question, full force. Um, but one thing that I want to talk about is so last week we had a 3-day virtual conference within our sales and marketing team, plus a few other folks that we invited in just to be more diverse voices from different teams within the organization to help fill out our conversations and give us some well-rounded, diverse perspective. So anyway, so there's a group of about 35 people meeting together to collaborate on, next steps for our business, right? So I was part of the planning team for this event, and in particular, I was the one that basically pulled it together and got it executed, hired the company, the third party moderating company, and oversaw the agenda and actually created the agenda, and then all those kinds of things. So I was more involved than anyone else, although I was part of a collaborative planning team. Um, and so, anytime you're pulling off an event like that, you always get those kind of like that nervous energy, those jitters ahead of time. Sometimes it's not just nervous energy, but it could be negative energy trying to kind of weigh you down and pull you into mindsets of like, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, this isn't going to be good, something's going to go wrong, and people are going to think I'm an idiot and all that kind of stuff. So I think I may have done some videos last week or that tapped into some of that and talked about some of that and how I kind of was working through and overcoming. And I'm super proud of myself. I'm going to give myself a pat on the back because had I been doing this a year ago or, even 6 months ago, honestly, I definitely would have been way more in my head about it. I mean, I've always had a fair amount of confidence, but just because I have confidence and I'm willing to like move forward and execute and get excited about something like this doesn't mean that there aren't still fears happening internally where I'm saying, oh, is this good enough? What if this happens? Because absolutely those things still happen in me. I'm human, right? But my life in the past, I've always been pretty, I'm going to say brave. I'm just going to say that I've been pretty brave about those things in terms of like, still being willing to move forward and kind of put my name on those kinds of things, knowing that things might not go perfectly. People might have thoughts about that and feelings about that, or feelings about me, and just willing to kind of put myself out there. I've always been pretty okay with those. I like challenges. It's like, yeah, I'm like the challenge accepted kind of person, right? So none of that is out of character for me. Like, I still move forward, and I have generally have good confidence in myself, right? But, you know, there's always just that pressure that comes along with it, and that angst. And historically, there's always just been that, like, a whole lot of like all up in my head about it beforehand, before these kinds of things would be fully executed. A lot of worrying, a lot of worrying, And so I really didn't allow myself to go there this time, which was super exciting. I felt really good about how anytime those feelings did creep up, and like I said, I think I've done some videos on them, or talked about that in some videos where feelings would creep up, but I was able to recognize them and peel back the onion and say, what is it that I'm believing that's giving me this negative energy? Because 100% of the time that you have a negative emotion about something, it is because Spirit's telling you that you are believing something that your soul knows is not true. 100% of the time. If you're having a negative feeling about something, it's because you believe something about that issue, about that circumstance, about you, about God, about your loved ones. You're believing something that is not true at the soul level. Okay. And that's Spirit's way of saying, hey, you feel this way because you're believing something. So when I would start feeling that way, I'd start peeling back the onion. What is it? I would distill it down. What is it that I believe that's making me feel this way? Oh, I believe that if something goes wrong, people are going to think I'm an idiot. Well, why do I believe that? And I would it's like the why question. You just keep asking why. Well, why do I believe that? Oh, well, why do I believe that? Oh, well, why do I believe that? And you get down to really the nitty gritty of beliefs that aren't for your highest and best good, that aren't divinely inspired, that aren't, in fact, your soul is telling you they're not true at all. And then being able to wrestle with that. So I'm proud of myself. Kudos to myself for that. Now, last week happens, right? Day one goes wonderfully. I'm like, yes, I knew it, because I was in tune to Spirit. And, and I want to share this. One of the last things, and maybe I'll even pull a card with this one. One of the last things that I thought to myself that really helped me release the stress, was when I was asking all those why questions. I had gotten to a point where I had said, I don't think everybody likes me. And I'm worried about being kind of front and center in this thing, and like being a roadblock to progress for the business, because I'm presenting and I'm sharing and maybe people don't like me. And I knew when I said that to myself, it wasn't a personal thing. It wasn't that they didn't like Jennifer Morgan, although it could be. There could be people that just don't like me. That happens, right? I'm not for everybody. I'm not a vibrational match to everybody. Nothing wrong with that. I might not be their cup of tea. But also, and I do believe there are some people that would say she's not my cup of tea. Okay. But also, there was some kind of baggage that's coming into this meeting of like what do I want to say? Past relationship issues in terms of between departments, like some kind of past ick that needed to be healed and worked through between some departments. Okay. And I just want to say, I don't talk about who I work for, but I want to caveat that statement by saying we have an excellent culture in our company. But, some personalities are different in different departments, right? And like sometimes those can be a clash. And historically, there have been issues, although I will say today, I don't think those issues necessarily remain, but like some of the protected walls are up because of that. That's keeping us from being our fullest expression of collaboration, right? So I feel like I'm getting off topic with that. So I feel like those relationship issues that have existed in the past between these departments could create some animosity towards me, in the sense of, in terms of what department I represent. Okay. And so when I was working through that ahead of the meetings actually starting, when I was like distilling that down and asking, why do I believe that? Why do I believe it? Why? Oh, okay, because there's this past trauma coming in. And why do I believe that? And then I came to this revelation that Spirit gave me when I was meditating that not only do all of those people like me, they all love me because we all have a higher self, we all have a soul, and at the soul level, all of those people at the soul level know who I am and I know who they are completely, right? And we have nothing but love for one another, nothing but love for one another. They just don't, I don't want to say they don't remember, they just may not remember, right? They may not remember that we love each other so much, but I do. And so I'm advantage point, right? I'm at an advantage because I know that not only do I love them, but they love me, regardless of whatever our human personality conflicts are or our human experiences have been in the past. We love each other. So I really felt like, oh, that was so freeing that I was able to come into this meeting like, we love each other. Like I just felt like that really gave me a kick of energy and a high. But, and then second to that is that I came into a kind of, it was in that same time that I had that revelation that I had another revelation that literally nothing about this 3-day meeting matters except the experience of it. And so all of our souls, this is what I imagined, all of our souls are just sitting up there with like their tub of popcorn, like, let's see how this unfolds. You know, what lessons are going to be learned in this? Because all the things that we wanted to accomplish with this 3-day meeting around our business, around our brand, around our products, around, you know, all of that is material things that are temporary. None of those things matter in the grand scheme of this journey that we're on. None of it. So while yes, tactically, practically speaking, materially speaking, we want some of those good outcomes. Like that is the point of the 3-day meeting. But eternally, none of that matters. The only thing that matters are the experiences that we come away with, good, bad, or ugly, right? And so again, having that perspective was enormously freeing. I went into this meeting with, I'm going to say, zero stress. Like even the night before, there was a few more slides that we wanted to throw into the deck, that I needed to throw into the deck. And I left, and my husband and I went and did 90-minute massages that I had scheduled that I originally wanted to schedule for after the meeting because I'm like, I want to go after all the stress and then de-stress, right? But the opening happened to be on the Monday night before the meetings were starting. And I'm like, well, I guess why not come into it de-stressed, right? So I went and did a 90-minute massage and then we went out to dinner afterwards. I didn't think about it for 1 minute. This is the night before the meeting and I still had a couple slides to put in. I didn't even give it any thought because I just knew and I trusted that whatever was supposed to be presented and included in that would be there. I would get it done. And that's another um, new way of life that I have found this year in my work and working with spirit on my work projects. Is just trusting that if I was supposed to be doing it, I would feel inspired to do it right then. But what I felt inspired to do was go have my 90-minute massage and then go to dinner. And then I came home and I'm like, okay, let me go hit these last couple slides. And I did it. And I went into this thing with no stress and day one went beautifully. Could not have went better. And I did say I wanted to do a card as related to this idea of like all of those people love me, I love them, whether we know it or not. And that it's really just about the experiences, not about the material outcomes. Um, wow, I can't believe I'm going to do this. Wow. But I do feel called to do this. Okay. I hope this doesn't derail this conversation, but like I found this Oracle deck at Half Price Books and I said, this feels icky because like a lot of these people may not be like this deck, I don't think is intended to be like a spiritual deck, okay? It's intended to motivate people in their business to find career and business success. It literally says career and business tips from the good, the bad, and the visionary. That's what it says. The good, the bad, and the visionary. And it's called Success Oracles. Okay. And so I felt kind of icky about buying it, but I also felt called to buy it, if that makes sense. And so I had to wrestle with it for a minute, literally in the middle of half price books. I'm like, am I buying this? Like, I don't know why I would buy this. When am I ever, I'm never talking about this kind of stuff as in terms of our spiritual journey. But what I think the importance of it is like that like our spiritual journey is about this day-to-day life. And guess what also is about day-to-day life? Our careers. And so it's like there could be advice, but there also could be things in here that maybe don't align. And so that's where we have to use our intuition, use our spidey senses to know, oh my gosh, one already popped out. That quick. Okay, that's just confirmation. When they pop out that fast, I just know that, okay, Spirit really wanted this to be. So I think I've read like three cards or maybe four cards in this whole deck because that's when I was in the beginning when I was nervous to buy it. Again, it was a reaction and fear because it's like not all of these people are spiritual minded. I don't want to lead people astray, da 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 da. But it's like Spirit's got a message and they'll use anything and everything. We'll find it. So again, for whatever reason, I feel called to this. I'm shocked. I literally didn't think I would ever use this on a video when I bought it, but I bought it anyway. Okay, so who came up? Estee Lauder. I can envision the smell right now of Estee Lauder. If you don't know who that is a perfume company. Well, it's a person, but she had a company. If you're not familiar with Estee Lauder perfumes, your grandma probably wore it. It says, I'm just going to read. I don't even know what to do with this card. Let me just center here. Youth will never get old. I feel very youthful right now. I like that. A free gift can buy anyone. Don't sell reinvention without modeling it yourself. I think, oh my gosh, that's the message. Don't sell reinvention without modeling it yourself. So I think the purpose of me sharing what's been happening, not just in this video, but the last couple of videos I did have all been, I called them my corporate America videos because they have all been about my experiences at work and how I'm trying to take what I'm learning spiritually and apply it at work and how I'm consistently being tested to see if the old beliefs that I had that I realize are not good for me, that I'm letting go of, and I'm replacing them with new beliefs. How much do I really believe those things? Because I say testing me. It's not about a test like you passed or you failed and you're getting punished or you're getting rewarded or whatever. It's about the test is about showing me how much do you really believe this? Because if you really believe it, it's demonstrated in your behavior in everyday life. And that's just it. I reinvented myself. Don't sell reinvention without modeling it yourself. I reinvented myself and I'm modeling it in my everyday behavior at work. Thank you, Spirit, for the confirmation here. I absolutely love that. I'm modeling it and it's working. Okay. So I went into this meeting, zero stress. We had a fabulous day one. Day two, the wheels fell off in the first 15 minutes. I was back up against the wall. I had some people coming at me about the structure of the agenda for the day and saying, no, we shouldn't be doing this based on some outcomes yesterday. We should be doing this. And anyway, like really pushing back because they were passionate. Like I'm not, it was a passionate conversation. But again, and again, as I reflected on how I responded in that time, because this was a conversation that went on for quite a while, it totally derailed our agenda. I want to say it was a solid 40 minutes to an hour of like stuff that happened. But anyway, as I was reflecting back on how I responded, definitely saw opportunities. I saw, for example, how I could have said, and I could have capped this down to probably a 5 to 10 minute conversation if I would have had the courage to just say, hey, hear you, uh, aligned with a lot of what you're saying, because I was, and I did say that. I did tell them that, aligned with a lot of what you're saying. However, it is not for me to decide to change the agenda. This was a team decision on what the agenda would look like. At our first break, our team can go back and revisit whether we want to redirect. But for now, we're going to move forward with the agenda as is because it's not for me to decide. Or I could have said, it's not, the team needs to decide or my boss. But my boss had to miss the first hour of the meeting. And so he wasn't there to make that decision. So anyway, if I would have said that, but for some reason I had fear about saying that it wasn't my decision to change the direction of the meeting. And it wasn't my decision, right? But why was I afraid to say that? Because I think I could have like got us back on track quicker if I would have just said that. So a lesson there for me, but also giving myself a pat on the back because even though I didn't do things perfectly, and I don't know that that would have been the perfect solution either, but what I did do was I maintained calm. I didn't allow myself to slip out of my parasympathetic nervous system into my sympathetic nervous system where I'm in a fight or flight mode. That would have created more tension, more angst, probably something that could have resulted in irreparable damage between departments, between teams, and just within our company culture in general. So because I and the other, it wasn't just me, and the other people that were like chiming in to help kind of redirect us in this dialogue, like because we were able to maintain our calm, like it just demonstrated um, that I was in a place and space of trust for the most part, of trust and spirit that something good's going to come out of this. And I was remembering that, guess what? All of our souls are sitting back like this is a real popcorn moment. They're like, oh my gosh, what's happened? Like, what's happening here? Right, right? Like they're like going crazy, like lessons are being learned. So that's what I feel like was really happening. And that was in my mind. It was in my mind. But also I'm also in the reality of the moment and I'm trying to steer this conversation, right? So there were times and moments when I was letting the spirit drive, but then there were times and moments when I was resisting spirit's flow, such as I knew I needed to say that, what I mentioned before about like, it's not my decision. And I was afraid to say, and I was even asking myself in the moment in my mind, why are you afraid to say that? But I just couldn't process it fast enough. So I stayed resistant to that. Anyway, net, I'm going to fast forward to the end and just say that all of that friction created an explosive, beautiful outcome for our business. It created a momentum that slingshotted us slingshotted us. I'm going to go with that. Slingshotted us forward in a way that needed to happen. So the visual that was coming to my mind as it happened was of an oyster in a pearl, because before that oyster's created in the pearl, you've got sand and grit in there, and it's through this process of refinement, of like friction, of the sand and grit kind of creating something beautiful. And that's what happened. And I just love it. I welcome it. And so it turned out great. We all had to have humble spirits and humble hearts that would allow us to shed kind of any negativity from that initial like um, dialogue or that initial, I don't want to say confrontation. It didn't get like rude, but like there was some heavy opinions in there, right? But like despite that, we were able to like all shed any negative. We were able to move forward with an agenda that made sense, that allowed us to bring some things to the surface that needed to be brought to the surface and do it in a very constructive, collaborative way. It was wonderful. So I love that. And another example of reinvention and make sure you're modeling it yourself. So I'm not putting any advice out there to you that I'm not applying to my own life and working through myself. Okay, Spirit. Which card wants to speak to us now for a closing? I don't know if this is a closing or if there's going to be another card, but I do feel called to the Wild Reflections Tarot deck. I don't love doing tarot because I'm not an expert in tarot, but I'm just going to trust. I'm just going to trust that whatever the message is will be loud and clear from Spirit. And Spirit, if this is the bow, is this the one? This is the one. It's the Emperor. It is a number. These Roman numerals really put me to the test. What is this? A, a 1 and a V. So V is a 5. So is this a 4? I should know. I think this is a 4. But here's what I'm getting about this, the Emperor, is that there is a wisdom, a certainty. Like he is not afraid to take charge. He is not afraid to make the hard decisions. He is not afraid to set the course and set the direction. He is holding his I'm gonna like spear, like that's kind of his sword of truth, if you will, and he knows the path forward. And he is not afraid to make decisions that, and it's because he sits in wisdom. Look what's around him. Like these are elements of wisdom of the past. So his certainty comes from a place of wisdom. And it does make sense that this is a 4 because that certainty sits deep within us, right? That root chakra, that foundation of feeling stable, feeling supported. He's supported by the ancestral components, so by spirit, by spirit's wisdom, by his ancestors that came before him and their experiences. Like he's supported, he's got a network of support and he feels solid in that. So if IV really is 4, that would make total sense. I'm pretty sure that that's a 4. Okay, I love that. So we're being called to reclaim our Emperor spirit, reclaim truth, reclaim trust in ourselves and in our connection to the divine, and know when it's time to turn down the noises, especially in those work environments. Like there's lots of energy coming at you, and it might not all be positive. It might not all be loving. There could be some negative. There could be some naysayers. There could be some I don't like yous. There, like there's stuff coming at you, but just remember at the soul level, we love each other. We're united. We are not divided. Okay. Spirit, so we've got Estee Lauder, be the model of reinvention. Own it. Own it. Trust in what you know to be true. I just want one more card. I really want to do Spirit Animal Oracle to kind of close us out. Like, Spirit, what kind of energy? What kind of energy are we being called to here as we move forward in like this newfound freedom? Okay, there's a newfound freedom in once we shed those old belief systems, once we shed the old belief systems, right? There's a newfound freedom. No, not that flipped. It acted like it wanted to flip, but it didn't flip. Yes. Okay, maybe. Are we? Okay, I was gonna say, are we supposed to get a card? Maybe, maybe not. Okay, I'm getting. Okay, it's time for beginner mind. Okay. So perhaps for many of you, everything we've been talking about here, this idea that not only do you love all of these people, but they also love you. And you can find confidence and take heart in that. Maybe that's a new concept for you. Maybe the idea that our souls are collectively sitting around going, yeah, like regardless of who does what, we're learning and we're growing and we're having experiences and just love it and embrace it. Maybe that's a new like concept that's like blowing your mind right now. Porcupine Spirit says it's time for the beginner mind. It's time to entertain some of these new ideas. Use your own discernment. If it feels wrong and you aren't ready or comfortable to peel back the layers of why that might be, because when you're willing to peel back the layers, you will come to conclusions of like, that doesn't feel right, and I know it, as opposed to that doesn't feel right. Why? And you contract and you're afraid. True knowledge expands. It's like, ooh, here's a new idea, but I know it isn't true. Right? As opposed to here's a new idea and I'm afraid of what this means, right? That's contracting. Expansion, okay? Expansion only happens through experience, through exploring new ideas, okay? And then go with what causes you to expand. That's your truth, even if it's different than what I'm saying, okay? So time for beginner mind, it's a 48, which breaks down to 12, which breaks down to a 3, which is all about life lessons. Okay. It's all about life lessons. I'm going to read this one. If I can find the deck. Here it is. Porcupine, what do you have for us? When Porcupine Spirit calls your name, you're being asked to adopt a beginner's mind and to approach situations with innocence and curiosity. The old confining stories no longer have a hold on you. Amen. That was me this past week in multiple situations. And I proved it to myself because I'm a model. I'm modeling my reinvention. Oh, I love how this is all coming together. Sorry. Okay. Looking at the world afresh with new eyes can help you find what you've been seeking, whether it is a relationship, an opportunity, or evidence that you have all you need right now to co-create what you desire. Who knew? Porcupine asks you to be playful and have a childlike curiosity. There's so much waiting for you that you have yet to discover. That's right. Be playful. Just like our souls were up there with the popcorn, like we're worried down here about outcomes and what happens if but they're up there with the popcorn, like it's just about the experience. Have fun with it. Have fun with it. And I promised you that even Jesus would concur with that. And maybe that's a whole nother message we need to do later. For now, I'm going to leave it there. I love you. Peace out. I hope you have a blessed day.